Tanse, welcome to APTN National News. I'm Creeson Agecoutay. Thank you for joining us. The family and friends of a woman who's been missing for over a year in Winnipeg hit the streets to hang posters and talk to people living in the North End. They are being helped by a community patrol and are hoping to spark leads as to where she may be. With more, here's T.R. Wheatley.
They came all the way from Black River to walk too.
Family members have traveled hours to help Beverly Creeson search for her daughter.
We don't want a dog charging her.
On the one-year anniversary of Leah Keeper's disappearance, Creeson got the Bear Clan Patrol mobile in the North End.
It's been a really difficult year for all of us, for the family, and especially her daughters.
The mother of two was officially reported missing in November 2023, but her family learned she was last seen on July 25, 2023 on these streets in Winnipeg's North End. This area is known to have gang violence, drugs, and trap houses. Because of that, many living here remain close. They often share information with the Bear Clan, who are made up mainly of community members volunteering and hoping to take their streets back.
Put forward, sir.
Angela Clausen leads Bear Clan's Missing Persons Unit.
We've been ongoing with this family since the beginning.
While on the streets, some people said they know Leah but haven't seen her in a long time.
The community is more willing to talk to us than to talk to police, and police realize that.
Clausen says in 2021, after an increase in missing Indigenous people in this city, the Bear Clan began working with the Winnipeg Police Service, or WPS.
In 2023, we did 210 bolos from Winnipeg Police. Of those 210 bolos, we have been able to successfully help them in locating 156 people.
Leah's mom is grateful for the relationship she has with the WPS investigators. She says they update her as much as they can.
In January, someone had called and stated that she was deceased, but they went to investigate, and whoever was giving that information and wasn't accurate, they did search with her banking, they did search with her EIA, and they checked all the hospitals.
WPS haven't always been applauded by the Indigenous community here. They are often criticized for being slow to investigate or not doing anything at all. The stories are often the same with police forces across the country. But Leah's family say the solution shouldn't come from police alone. Her aunt Marilyn Creeson says protecting Indigenous women and girls is a national problem.
Every day there's someone that's missing. The politicians have to pull their weight.
Before Leah became homeless and lost to these streets, she had graduated and worked at the Women's Hospital as a health clerk, but without access to proper mental health services to deal with intergenerational and childhood trauma, Leah began using drugs to cope. Leah was trying to get better and was waiting for a spot in a treatment center. Only here in this province, wait times average 4 months. Her aunt says that's too long for someone needing help now, a sad reality, she says, for many beyond her niece.
How do we fix ourselves? Do we start doing, family healing circles? Do we share things amongst each other? Do we go back to our ways of traditional healing? And I believe that we should be doing that kind of thing.
Leah's mother agrees. But as for right now, she remains focused on making sure Leah's kids have the supports they need as they deal with not having their mom around.
To hope that we will be able to locate her. I walk that traditional path, and I say my prayers. But we still need people out there. If anybody, knows anything.
WPS say this is still an ongoing missing person investigation. T.R. Wheatley, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
After more than 4 weeks of searching Lake Winnipeg, the body of a third man was found this past weekend. On June 27th, 3 men from Mistapoistic Cree Nation set out on the western shore of Lake Winnipeg by boat, heading to the North Basin of the lake to hunt for moose. They never returned home, and a search began the next day to look for them with help of the RCMP and the community. It is believed stormy weather may have capsized the men's boat after pieces of their boat were found in the lake later. Thanks to the Hatarian Emergency Aquatic Response Team, or HART, the third man was found this weekend. The Assembly of Manitoba chiefs have identified the men. They are 31-year-old Tyler Ballantyne, 28-year-old Raiden Dick, and 29-year-old Delaney McGilvery. Our sincerest condolences to all the families. The owners of the Yukon mine, where a landslide caused cyanide to spill into a nearby creek, have failed to meet a deadline given to them by the government of Yukon. Last week, the government instructed Victoria Gold to beef up safety where the leak happened. The company failed to meet that deadline. As a result, the Yukon government has stepped in and hired another contractor to build a raised barrier. The barrier or berm is needed to create a safe working zone in the failure area so that groundwater monitoring and interception wells can be built. Those wells are needed to measure for contamination and for pumping any contaminated water to the surface for treatment. However, a forest fire in the area is blocking the access road to the mine site, delaying construction. Contractors will head to the mine site once the road is safe to begin construction of the berm.
To be very clear, Yukon government is stepping in to undertake only specific environmental protection measures. We are not at this time taking over the site. VGC, Victoria Gold, remains responsible for the site, for the impacts of the failure, and for compliance with its licenses, legislation, and all other measures in the inspector's directions issued to date.
Métis artist Juliette Mackey was combing the web one day when she found her own beaded earring creations reproduced on an international commercial site. At that moment, she became yet another of many native beadworkers who are discovering that cheap copies of their work are being sold online by huge international corporations. APTN's Agecoutay Alexandra Vayet-Chizo spoke to her about this experience.
Beading makes me feel connected to my family, to my ancestors, and it also makes me feel sort of at home or at peace in the world. It sounds cheesy, but it really helps me in a lot of ways.
Juliette Mackey is Métis from Fort Chipewyan.
This is a fringe earring.
Though she grew up in Vancouver, she moved to Montreal to study painting.
This is a painting of my great-grandmother Evelyn and me.
At the same time, she loves to make crafts, especially beadwork.
These are some of my favorites. They're shoulder dusters, and they're probably some of the longest pairs that I've ever made.
Her Instagram account, Little Moon Creations, has more than 20,000 followers, and she's able to supplement her income with beading sales.
I would sell this on my website, julietmackey.com.
She's currently studying Indigenous representations in art at Concordia University.
I'm interested in topics like cultural appropriation and, representation of art and how it's being used or exploited by companies like Temu.
Mackey is looking at China-based online discount retailer Temu when she spots a strangely familiar image.
Oh, and right there.
She's looking at a cheap copy of pair of beading earrings she designed herself.
This is, oh my gosh, this is my design. I've never even seen that one yet.
This is far from the first time.
It's this same design.
These sorts of discoveries are becoming routine.
So this was the first design that I found of mine on Temu that was originally made in 2022 when I was staying with my grandma, and I remember taking the photos of it in her garden and posting them on my website, and the experience of us beading together. So it feels like a bit more of a violation.
Numerous Indigenous artists are sharing similar experiences across social media. Melody Markle, who sells her work on the Instagram account Melody Quay, discovered beaded chickadee earrings she designed reproduced on Temu without her consent.
I was surprised initially, then I got frustrated, and now I want to take action to learning more about what my rights are as an Indigenous artist and what the protocols are in place. And I'm hoping I'll be able to navigate that a bit more here.
Markle called lawyer Jonathan Sommer. He's a specialist in Indigenous art fraud. APTN News asked him what recourse Markle and Markey have in this situation.
You need resources to exercise your rights. If you want to protect yourself, you either have to convince the government officials that administer those laws to help you, but unless the powers that be are willing to do something, we're in a bit of a tough situation right now.
Melody Markle says she's ready to raise her voice about the issue of Indigenous craft fraud.
We need to start educating these big corporations that are taking away our pieces of our identity and owning them as their own. and making profit off of it. That's well below what we're asking.
Temu responded by email to questions from APTN News. We require sellers to submit documentation and sign an agreement to ensure they comply with legal standards and respect intellectual property rights in their targeted markets. The company says whenever they receive takedown requests from copyright holders, they act fast to investigate and pull fraudulent products.
I doubt it's really done, because anyone could copy it and repost it, and it's not really fair for the artist, who, you know, you can see how many sales of the replica earring there's been on the website.
However, several hundred beaded earrings copying Juliette Mackey's original designs are still up for sale on Temu.
In some cases, should the artist be compensated for those designs that were sold, if the company profited off of it?
Kijate Alexandra Vellachizo, APTN National News, Montreal.
Thank you, Kijate. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A woman from the Enoch Cree Nation has made history yet again. We'll tell you who that is when we come back in about 3 minutes. Welcome back. A woman from the Enoch Cree Nation in Alberta has once again made history and has made all of Indigenous country proud. Model, actor, and activist Ashley Collingbull was crowned Miss Universe Canada on Sunday at the Capitol Theatre in Windsor, Ontario. She is the first Indigenous person to win the crown. During the pageant, she put a spotlight on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Canada and how they are 6 times more likely to be impacted by violence or go missing. Collingbull says she will continue to use this platform to shed more light on MMIWG. The 34-year-old was also the first Indigenous person to be crowned Mrs. Universe in 2015 and to model in Sports Illustrated. A woman from Manitoba has also been crowned Miss Indigenous Canada. Jessica McKenzie from Opaskwayak Cree Nation from northern Manitoba is this year's Miss Indigenous Canada. The pageant was held in 6 nations in Ontario, where a total of 26 Indigenous women competed for the crown. McKenzie says she wants to use her platform to mentor Indigenous youth to strengthen community ties. In a statement, Opaskwayak Cree Nation said, "Thank you, Jessica, for representing our nation with pride, honor, and respect. You are a shining beacon to many Indigenous youths. Your resilience and compassion for others is remarkable." The Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs also said, "Jessica has made us all incredibly proud by representing her nation with grace and distinction, an empowering and inspiring role model now living in Toronto." The largest powwow in southern Alberta was underway this past weekend. The Tsuut'ina Nation's powwow near Bragg Creek brought together thousands of people from across North America to celebrate the First Nations culture. CTV's Tyler Barrow takes us there.
The Tsuut'ina Nation powwow was at the Redwood Meadows Fairground. The powwow brings people together and some people home. Gina Callio is here with her children to watch them dance. She grew up on Tsuut'ina Nation.
Love the people here, and the country's beautiful.
They are 2 of more than 600 dancers. The annual celebration has been happening for over 60 years.
Welcoming our friends and our neighbors in to participate with us in our traditions.
There is also a rodeo featuring more than 500 riders. Organizers say it's one of the largest Indigenous rodeos in Canada. The 3-day powwow provides the nation with a big economic boost.
Every year it's growing, it's bigger and bigger every year, so we need to maintain a healthy growth plan.
It's estimated between 8,000 and 10,000 people will attend, including Simon Paul and his family from nearby Manithni.
We come out here to enjoy the celebration here, the dancing.
And Ian De Beer, originally from South Africa, but now calls Canada home.
It's unreal, like so many different costumes. People are so pleasant, and it's just mind-boggling.
Organizers say it takes more than 200 people to help make the powwow a success. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Redwood Meadows.
More than 100 paddlers recently set out on a 10-day trek down the Grand River. It is organized by the Two Row on the Grand, a group focused on sharing Indigenous culture. The goal is to bring people from all walks of life together to row an understanding based on trust and respect. CTV's Stephanie Davis has the story.
Bags are packed and boats are prepped for the 9th annual Two Row on the Grand.
During our 10 days on the Two Row on the Grand, we aim to have Indigenous knowledge keepers from our community.
Paddlers from all strokes of life will make their way down the Grand River, stopping at communities along the way to learn about Indigenous culture and history.
Now, things have gotten to the point where we have a voice again, and we are able to share our knowledge.
If we have that kind of relationship, there won't be that kind of conflict because we will understand each other much better.
The idea behind Two Row on the Grand came from the Two Row Wampum, an original piece of treaty between Indigenous and settler communities.
The Two Row Wampum is basically how we travel down the river of life. So peace, friendship, and respect are the primary teachings behind it.
Paddlers will learn about the Mohawk language, residential schools, ways of being, and more. New and returning members eager to expand their understanding.
To kind of listen and learn about the significance of the paddle, the relationship that people have with the land and our responsibilities as settlers to the land and our responsibilities in the Two Row Wampum.
The knowledge keepers act as one form of teacher. The river is the other.
The river teaches you patience, awareness of your surroundings, going with the flow and avoiding obstacles, using the flow as much as possible.
For the first time, students from the University of Waterloo and McMaster will get credits for taking part.
People go through a transformation once they start and when they finish this Two Row, so I thought this would be a great opportunity.
Passing a piece of history through generations.
My aim for this is for everyone, Haudenosaunee and allies alike, to go away with a better understanding of who lives in Canada. I'm tearing up right here, but it is very important to me that people walk away with a transformation.
Stephanie Davis, CTV News, Cambridge.
An Indigenous father and son duo are moving ahead on Amazing Race Canada. We'll check in with them again when we're back in less than 2 minutes. Stick around. On the East Coast, St. John's 28, Charlottetown 24. Northern Quebec, Kuujjuaq 16, the Grand River 19. Val-d'Or 25, Saguenay 18. Southern Ontario, Toronto 26, Ottawa 29. Northern Ontario, Timmins 24, Big Trout Lake 21. Puckatawagan 20, Churchill 12. Winnipeg 22, Barons River 21. Saskatoon 20, North Battleford 18. Larange 21, Uranium City 19. Northern AB, Fort Chipewyan 23, Peace River 17. Lethbridge 25 and rain, Edmonton 17 and sun. Tofino 14, Kamloops 17. Dease Lake 7, Fort Nelson 15. Beaver Creek 17, Mayo 11. Yellowknife 14, Norman Wells 12. Colville Lake 12, Inuvik 6. Baker Lake 14, Chesterfield 6. Iqaluit 9 and Arctic Bay 7. The 10-day Rubaboo Arts Festival in Edmonton wrapped up this past weekend. The event showcased plays, workshops, dance, and more. For 15 years, the festival has showcased talent from Indigenous storytellers, performers, and artists who celebrate and teach about their cultures in an entertaining way. This year's theme is You Are Loved. Friday to Sunday features a project from Teresa Cutknife and Samantha Frotton called Talk Treaty to Me. It is about exploring Treaty 6 through the perspectives of Canadian and Indigenous law.
I would hope that even if you know nothing about the treaty, that you get to walk away with even just a little bit more information, but also that you get to have some moments of laughter and maybe a little tear here and there. We get a little dramatic, so to speak.
And finally for us, a Cree father and son duo from Saskatoon have their eyes set on the grand prize as they compete on the latest season of Amazing Race Canada. APTN's Rachel May caught up with the pair.
To be the first father-son Indigenous duo is something that we don't take for granted. You know, we understand that representation matters, and to be able to showcase two healthy individuals is something that we need to be able to showcase more on mainstream media.
Michael and Amari Linklater, members of the Thunderchild First Nation, are the first Indigenous father-son duo on Amazing Race Canada. The pair joined 10 other teams to travel across the country and complete various challenges, aiming to avoid being the last team. Amari is a college basketball player, while Michael is a former professional basketball player as well. He said their diverse experience makes them a well-rounded team, but the game is filled with diverse pairs.
And the interesting thing is, when you look at a lot of the past teams, people I think may get deterred because maybe they're not physically fit as they think they should be. But when you look, it's not about like strength or bronze, like it's a balance.
During the show, the duo experienced mishaps, including Michael giving Amari incorrect directions that turned the team around. Amari said that despite any setbacks they faced, there was always an amazing moment at the end of each challenge.
I would say, all the times that we've gotten to the mat and heard that we weren't the last team there is always a great feeling.
The team said that the show had taught them a lot, including how to keep one foot in front of the other when new parts of each challenge kept popping up. Amari said his determination to embrace challenges like the Amazing Race comes from his dad.
And everything I've learned from him, and he's been a great role model for me, and I'm kind of just trying to take after his footsteps.
Michael and Amari continue their adventures on new episodes of The Amazing Race Canada that air Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on CTV. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
And that's your midday newscast for this Monday, July 29th. Where did this month go? Hola! We'll be back again in a few hours for your evening newscast. Make sure to join us then. From everyone from APTN National News, Masicho, Hi Miigwech. Thank you for watching.